Hello everybody, welcome back to Murder Misfortunate. I think we are actually on the 4th video now. This is actually getting to be pretty detailed. We are finding out tons of information on our host. Let's jump back in and see if we can't actually nail down who the murderer is in this clue-like adventure. Let's see. At the end of the last episode, we just went into the smoke room, and she says that this is probably going to be the best place to reveal the truth of the mystery.
In the meantime, I thought it wise to take another look around while I still had the room to myself.
Yes, let's do this. Let's examine the room. The cabinet. Because that is actually where the knife came from, right?
Had a few things of interest in it, if I remember correctly. Let's take a closer look. A padded velvet cushion sat in the cabinet looking somewhat forlorn. Surely it was meant to showcase something more interesting, but there was nothing on it now.
Oh, this is where the knives went.
I swear that something had been on this cushion before. Just what was it?
The knives. I don't know which one though, because they look exactly the same.
Yes, that was it. There had been a knife on the cushion during our tour. I was sure of it. And not just any knife. The knife that may have stabbed the prince.
The knife that may have stabbed the prince.
But who could have taken it? I cast my mind back, trying to remember if anyone had lingered behind for even a moment. But it availed me nothing. The prince had been the first to leave the room, but that was the only thing of which I was certain.
The Wicker Man.
In the cabinet, there was an odd little doll that seemed to be made out of straw. Was it some kind of voodoo doll? I tried making those a time or two myself.
Of course she
Although,
did.
to my great dismay, they never seemed to actually work quite right.
Stabbed it so many times it just didn't kill him. Okay, anything else?
On one
Wine
side
rack.
of the room, there was a wine rack filled with dusty old bottles. Most were empty, but a few still contained small amounts of what must have been very well-aged red wine. At least, I hoped it was just wine. With a family like the Lees,
At least it's not orange juice.
one could never be quite sure. Perhaps I should take a bottle with me to check it later. Just in case.
Just in case. You know, just take one of the... Okay, I actually stole the wine.
The large crystal globe in the cabinet was impossible to miss. It seemed to be filled with a swirling red mist of some kind, and as I stared into it, I thought for a moment that I could see a pair of malevolent eyes. Or was it just one, staring back?
I think she's getting a little creeped
But
out.
surely it must have just been my reflection, in combination with the dim light.
Of course. Of course. Oh boy. Oh, that's the foot I was seeing
The
earlier.
pose of the statue in the corner of the room rather reminded me of my third husband. You see, the last time I saw the dear old boy, he was in the process of losing his balance and tumbling down the whole stairs. Terrible tragedy, really. I had to have those stairs completely replaced just to get the blood out.
Wow. Okay. Alright, so this is basically the room I go to make the accusation. Alright, let's leave. Let's see. Where should I go? Let's go back to the main hall. Let's start back from the beginning and see if we find anything new.
Burnt and blackened. I checked the left hand as well, just to be sure, but it seemed undamaged.
Okay. The left hand. Why would the left hand? Given the way that the phone was sitting on the table, you would figure he picked up the phone with his left hand, right? Okay, I don't see anything new. I'm not sure if this is one where the environment changes or not, so I just want to be sure. I don't see anything new. Let's see, we've got new lighting magic, okay.
Horatio, my dear, I'm so sorry, but I'm afraid you've got some explaining to do.
Means he didn't actually have to go anywhere
Ah,
into the lighting room.
misfortune. I already told you. A magician.
Yes, yes. Never reveals his secrets and all that. Why don't we just skip to the part where you tell me what this is all about?
Yeah. What about this? What about this?
Where did you find that?
Next to your orange juice. Talk.
In the breaker room, darling. Right where you left it.
Oh.
That.
Here's the
yes.
part where you start talking then.
Well, you're right. I put it there. It was Titanico's idea. He thought the whole blackout business would add some drama to the evening.
Yeah.
An excuse to startle us. Especially poor little Miss Cherise. So there was nothing wrong with the wiring then?
So he never actually had to go to the
Nothing
breaker
at
room.
all.
Come on.
That's why he had to make sure to send me to deal with it.
So, you were the only other one who knew about this little special effect then.
Nobody else knew that they didn't have the time.
Yes, I do believe so. I did say that the prince often took me into his confidence, didn't I?
No, you didn't say that.
Yes, several times, I think.
Well, you won't tell anyone else, will you? As you can see, it had nothing to do with the murder.
It does seem that way, I suppose. At least, for now.
Manor grounds. The king's bedroom. We're just going to run by and talk to everybody. I don't think there's actually like a cut and dry, this is exactly who the bad guy is. Alright, I guess it's time to accuse somebody because I don't have any more detail than that. And the only one that I can think that actually knew that there was going to be a few minutes where they would have a chance to kill them with everybody else away is Horatio. Though I doubt that Horatio's got the strength to toss him up over a table and onto the floor. I do want more information, daggum it. What does the wine bottle have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. I don't think it has anything to do with anybody. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. I have no idea who I'm going to accuse. I really don't. It's got to be a toss-up between the daggum gardener and him because they're the only two that were around and have enough strength to do it, right?
The police weren't yet here, but it made no matter. I had seen everything I needed to see. It was time to lay this mystery to rest and expose the guilty party for all to see.
I'm going to accuse myself.
I do
I
so
didn't.
love it when someone other than me gets their comeuppance.
Let's see. Is there going to be like a chance for everybody to say something prior to the accusation?
Wonderful. Everyone's here. I guess that means we can begin.
Begin, what exactly?
This is the ending point when I start pointing
By
fingers.
exposing the murderer, of course.
You mean you know who it is?
Of course I do, my dear. Don't you?
No.
Well, no. I'm not sure. At least not yet.
Pity. You were the one who said we had to see the truth for ourselves or something, weren't you? Well, it's a good thing that at least one of us has been busy this past little while.
I'm glad she's so confident about who it
now,
is.
Darling, you simply can't keep us in suspense like this. Are you going to tell us or not?
Yeah, after all this, it better be good. Not that I'm getting my hopes up or anything, mind you.
Tut tut. All in good time, my dear little girl. First, we all need to agree on some basic facts. Mr. Klops, you've been posted out in front of the house ever since we found the body, yes?
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
So obviously the killer
And
didn't get
Did
away.
you see anyone leaving the house? Or anybody hanging about at all?
No, ma'am. There was no one there. And nobody would have got past me, that's for sure.
No, I'm sure they wouldn't. That glowering gaze of yours alone would be enough to send them scurrying
With his
back.
one eye, and then stare him down with the one eye.
As for the rest of us,
Oh.
did anyone find any trace of a break-in? Broken windows, muddy footprints, anything at all?
There's plenty of broken stuff everywhere.
Indeed not. I saw nothing of the sort, and if I might say so, a magician's eyes are trained to spot even the smallest of details.
Shut up, Gandalf.
I didn't see anything either. Not a thing.
Not a thing.
Ah, good then. So we agree.
She didn't agree.
Nobody else has entered or left the house, which means that the killer is one of us.
Right here, in this room. Huh.
Darling, this is just too much. If you make us wait even a moment more, I shall need a glass of brandy and a bottle of smelling salts.
Oh, I'll take more orange juice. If someone is getting drinks, that is.
That's not what smelling salt is.
Yes, sir. But first, how about we hear who did it?
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
This is it then. There's no going back. It's time to end this.
Okay, let's pull all this together.
Whoever I point to now is not going to be terribly pleased with me. But that's fine, as I'm not terribly pleased with them either. If they wanted to have half a chance of getting away with this, they made a most misfortunate choice in trying to frame me.
Okay, these are my reasons and who it is. I'm picking Horatio for the reasons of Horatio was the only one who knew about the timer giving the killer a chance to actually do what they were going to do. And then Horatio was also close enough to possibly know about the finances. Now, Charisse could also have had the accountant doing the audit on them, but I don't think she would have killed them. I don't think she would have killed the prince because that's not how she is. She's probably the one who launched the audit. Horatio probably did it because he was in love with Charisse. Possibly. And between all of them, I'd say Horatio or Klops are the only ones who could have actually tossed him over the edge to break his ankle. Plus, Horatio, if you remember at the beginning, whenever Horatio is standing right next to her, he puts his arm around her and she says, "No, thank you." Well, she had her purse. Maybe he dropped the items, or no, he couldn't have dropped the items because that was prior to, who was it that went and got everybody? Klops was the one who went and got her. I don't know. Horatio was still a pretty good fit. He was the only one who knew what all was going on. Klops did not seem to know anything about what was going on, but he immediately went outside. Alright. I'm really not sure. Now, I'm pretty sure down in the comment section there's going to be a lot of people stating reasons why it was possibly someone else. I mean, Leah has reasons. Taking Charisse away. She could get into emails. Maybe she knows more about the prince than anybody does. Contessa, she really doesn't seem like she has a reason to be into anything. Not really. I'm still going to go with Horatio. Let's try it.
It was you, Horatio. You killed Prince Titanico.
What?
Me? Misfortune, surely you jest.
Horatio, my dear, I think we all agree that if anyone here is a jester, it's definitely you.
No. I am not a jester, a wizard, a sorcerer, a warlock, if you will. I'm absolutely sure we've been over this before.
No, I'm sure you're not really a magician.
Yeah. Grand Goofus of the court or whatever it was. Can we get to the point? Why do you think he did it?
Yes, why would I kill my oldest and
Her.
closest friend? I am more distraught by this terrible affair than anyone. Completely and utterly distraught.
Yes, motive. To answer that question, I think we need to first understand why we're all here for this little party at all. Before he left us for the last time, the prince said that he would return with an announcement. I have an inkling of what it might have been.
I think him proposing to Charisse would actually have been a...
From the beginning, I've had the nagging impression that this entire evening was a show staged for just one special someone. That someone is you, Miss Charisse.
A show? For me?
Yes, for you. It's no secret to any of us at this point that you and the prince had been, shall we say,
Stepping out?
as of late. And so the climax to the prince's little drama is obvious. He was going to ask for your hand in marriage. That's why he had this with him, isn't it?
Hey,
Quite
did
possibly.
you get that?
Now, all in good time. For now, it's enough to prove the prince's intent. You don't look surprised, my dear.
No. Not completely surprised, anyway.
Interesting. Why was Claps the one asking where I got it?
My, a grand public proposal then.
Why with all of these people, though? I don't understand that.
That's my friend. He was always such an incurable romantic.
Romantic? Oh, you poor naive boy. This was nothing of the sort. It was a cold, calculated move, designed by the prince to get the result he wanted. Whisk the object of his affections out of her element into a strange and unfamiliar house, frighten her with ghost stories all evening, and then make a sweeping public proposal in front of a group of high society strangers like myself and the Comtessa.
He was hoping to make her
yes, indeed.
say yes.
What girl wouldn't want all of that, I ask you?
Not me. No.
Horatio, my
That
friend,
hand. I forgot about that hand.
I have arranged a nice little soiree at the Lee Manor. Just a small affair, so as to be intimate, but with guests that my beloved does not know well.
The setting should be perfect.
And you're going to propose right there, in front of everyone?
Yes, when the time is right.
It is 50 Shades of Grey.
Of course, we must set the mood first. A flash of lightning, a clap of thunder, a macabre historical tidbit or two, and perhaps a little surprise courtesy of your talents, just to add a little more flair.
Why, of course. I can conjure up just the thing for you, I'm sure.
I really think during that timed outage or whatever, he probably shocked the crap out of him. And that might actually be the reason why he died.
How little you understand of the fair sex.
It's the only thing I could think of that would actually explain it and why the line suddenly cut.
She only sees the best in everyone. We have nothing to fear. She will be as putty in my hands.
Yeah, if that was the case, then he's not actually a murderer. He accidentally did it.
I really must confess, it was all quite masterfully done. Rejecting a proposal under such circumstances would be unbelievably awkward, both socially and psychologically. Not a bad one to remember for my own books, I think.
This is all pure conjecture and, I might add, completely ridiculous.
Not completely.
Yes, you would be quite the authority on the ridiculous, wouldn't you?
But, be all of that as it may, you still have yet to get to the part where I have even the slightest reason to kill anybody.
Is that so? I rather thought by this point that would be obvious.
Now, I have nothing in here that states that he is in any way connected to Charisse other than... Well, if he was wanting to protect her, maybe he was the one who actually did it? He was the one who
Mr.
called it?
Horatio, absurd as it may seem to some, it's clear that you fancy yourself a bit of a hero. And with a damsel in distress as perfect as Miss Charisse here, why, you felt you had no choice but to try to protect her from your friend's unethical machinations.
It's a little thin.
Didn't you just say that he helped plan the party and set the mood and all that?
Yes, I suppose I did.
Yeah, so wouldn't it have been easier just to bow out of all that? Or maybe tip Sherry off in advance?
A surprise
Yeah.
public proposal is hardly life-threatening after all. Mind you, I have seen some rather reckless proposal stunts in my day, but the danger's usually only for the party doing the proposing.
Good
I'm
point.
afraid I'd only met Mr. Horatio a handful of times. Would he really have wanted to protect me over his lifelong friend?
I never said he was a very good hero.
Look, not saying it isn't possible. It sounds a little fishy to me.
Fair enough. After all, he had other reasons for his behavior as well. It's
Let's
the
try
oldest
that.
tale in the book, really. Two men, one beautiful, charming, an extraordinarily wealthy young girl. You couldn't let Titanico marry Charisse because you wanted to marry her yourself.
That's
That's what?
All of your life, you've lived in your friend's shadow, haven't you? And here he was, planning to marry a dream wife under your very nose. It was too much. He had to be stopped. She had to be yours.
This whole thing
no,
seems
no,
cheesy
you-
anyway.
You look here. While, of course, I have nothing but admiration for Miss Charisse, I mean, it's just, as you say, who wouldn't? But the incontrovertible point here is, how could I possibly have killed the prince when I was the one in the basement busily fixing the lights at the time?
You didn't have to be in there.
Ah, excellent. So we've moved on from the why to the how. Indeed. How was the prince killed after all?
How? Don't we know how? Took a shiv right to the back.
I'm
Not
so
necessarily.
sure it's that simple.
To be fair, we can't really fault Mr. Klops here for seeing only half the picture. The prince was stabbed, yes. But is that what killed him? I think that the prince...
He was stabbed, but he did push and
Was
get
pushed
pushed and
first.
fall.
Let's use our heads, shall we? What was the prince doing when he left us?
He was going to answer the phone.
Yes, and there's a phone on the landing at the top of the double stairs. I think he was pushed from there and was only stabbed later. Perhaps just to make sure.
Now that you mention it, there was something funny about the way he was lying.
What, about the leg that wasn't
I saw it
connected
too.
properly?
I'm thinking it's very likely that the fall broke his leg.
Well, all that goes to show that it couldn't possibly have been me. Are you really suggesting I had time to go to the basement?
He seems to
run
forget
back
that I
up
found
the
the little
phone call,
timer.
Push the prince from the landing without him or anyone else seeing me, run to where he fell, stab him, run back downstairs, and then fix the lights?
You didn't fix the lights.
I'm a wizard, not a marathon runner.
Does seem like a bit of a tall order. Far more likely, someone trailed the prince from the dining room when he went to take the call.
I could swear that reminds me of something. Oh, yes! Misfortune! Am I wrong?
We're gonna bring up the third
Your
husband,
third
aren't we?
husband died from a rather tragic tumble down the hall stairs.
Well, that, yes.
Yes, he did. But I hardly see how that's relevant.
Only slightly relevant.
Oh, so you're saying she's got experience? Good enough for me. My vote is we check Misfortune here for the knife too. Who knows? Might settle the whole thing right now.
Searched? Me? I really think that's going a bit too far.
Oh, really? Seems pretty tame to me, compared to the alternatives.
Might well have gotten her in trouble, huh?
Well, when you put it that way.
Don't worry, darling. I'll spare you from Mr. Klops here. Just let me see your bag. Good heavens! There is a knife in here.
2 of them, actually, and a bottle of wine.
Knife? I knew it. It was bad luck that killed my friend after all. The bad luck was you!
Wizard boy, I think you're about the only one who didn't get that wordplay the first time round. There's blood on the blade, and it's the same shape as the wound on the prince.
Oh no.
So that's why you had the boss's ring. You just killed him to take it off him.
Listen, I know it all looks bad.
It looks very bad.
Oh yeah, it looks bad.
I'm ever so sorry, dear, but we're going to have to hand you over to the police as soon as they get here. A complete scandal for you. I know, but one does what one must.
Oh, I'm
I hear
sure.
them coming now. I'll go let them in, and then justice will be served.
They never brought up the timer.
All this, just for some jewelry? Was that really it, Misfortune?
Oh boy.
Sherry has so much trouble believing the worst of people. Luckily, I've got no such problem. Just think. A dank, cold, dreary, sunless prison. You'll fit right in.
Wow. She never even brought up the timer that was on the lights. Okay, so I'm not sure whether or not a timer can actually be used to turn the lights back on, but I would figure that that would be the reason. Okay, so then the only one that I can think of would be Klops. He's the only one I could think of. Okay, here we are back at the, who's the killer? Obviously Horatio was not it, because the timer did not mean that he didn't have to be there. The timer just meant he had a reason to leave, but he still had to go back and turn it on. Klops, if everybody was new there, Klops was the only one who even knew where the phone was. Alright, try
It
Klops.
was you, Klops. You killed Prince Titanico.
Me? What are you talking about?
Now, Klops, there's no need for shouting. We can talk this through like reasonable people.
Urgh.
Why don't you, keep talking?
No wind up getting beaten up instead of sent to prison.
Certainly. Perhaps first we should get the issue of motive out of the way. That shouldn't take long.
What do you mean? Why would I want to kill my own boss?
Because you wanted to be the
That,
butler.
my dear man, is as plain as the perpetual scowl on your face. Quite simply, Mr. Klops, you were sick and tired of being a mere valet.
Klops, where have you been? My mid-afternoon cognac is late.
Sorry,
He's
sir.
not the butler.
I'll fetch it straight away.
Good. And see to it that it doesn't happen again. Oh, and before you go, draw those blinds. I am trying to read some Guy de Mauvasoir in this wretched light. Pah! It is ruining the mood.
Oh my goodness, that's so horrible.
Yes, sir. Anything else, sir?
Yes, there is an orange juice stain on my best cloak. I shall need it cleaned at once.
Yes,
Orange juice on
whatever
this
you say,
cloak.
sir.
Okay.
Clean this, get me that, and all without a word of thanks. By the end, you were so dissatisfied with your work that you'd undertaken to stealing small valuables around the house.
Klops? That was you? I always wondered what happened to those wonderful porcelain medieval miniatures. Shame on you.
Shame on you for stealing those little miniatures.
Hey, look, not all of us get a free ride around here. Some of us have got to make ends meet.
You did steal it.
Perhaps the prince even caught your thievery and threatened you. Or perhaps you were once again refused the promotion that you so obviously craved. Either way, enough was enough. It was time for revenge.
The butler did it? Or the not butler did it?
I'll, take your silence as agreement then.
Take it how you want. I didn't do it, so I won't cop to nothing.
Still playing stubborn, are you? Very well. I think you'll come around when we consider how the prince was actually killed.
Okay, let's lay out some evidence then.
How? But we know how. It's pretty obvious just by looking at him.
Yes, that's just what you'd like us to think, isn't it? But the truth is that the prince was stabbed.
He was pushed.
yes, but that came later. If you look at the body, there's very little blood. And it also seems as if he fell with a good deal of force.
Seemed to be like the only one who's strong enough.
To me too. That must mean he was pushed from the landing at the top of the stairs.
Yes, exactly. Now let me ask you, just what was the prince doing when he left us for the last
Answering a
time?
phone call.
He was going to take a phone call.
And who was it that told him about this phone call?
Cyclops!
It was Mr. Klops.
So
Cyclops.
what? Of course I told him
Mr.
about the
Klops.
call. That's
Cyclops.
just doing my job.
Your job, yes. And also the last straw. He told you to fetch some candles for us while we stayed in the dining room, which you did, but not before you followed the prince back to the hall and pushed him to his death.
That's baloney.
Oh, come now, Mr. Klops. You had by far the best opportunity of any of us. And when you saw the prince alone, on the phone by the balcony with his back to you,
You just couldn't resist pushing him over the edge.
all that anger and resentment came welling up.
Then whoops!
In an instant, it was too late, and the deed was done.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. The simple
I'm so
solution
glad
is
they all
usually
agree
the
with
right
me.
one. But it doesn't account for the stabbing. When did that happen?
Oh, that was definitely somebody else.
Ah, the little teacher's pet has been paying attention. Well done, dear. You see, the stabbing was done. Later. Quite a bit later, in fact. In fact, Charisse, my dear, I think you of all people should know when it was done.
You mean when... Oh!
Darling, seriously, what do you mean?
I don't even know what she means.
I think she's saying it was when he found the body. I saw him go into the hall and thought it took him a little too long to come back out.
The timing, the counting that she was
You
doing.
What? Why are you all ganging up on me all of a sudden? I thought you were the nice one.
I'm sorry, but it's just the truth of what I saw.
Makes me wonder if I accuse all of them, what more information I'm going to get out of them.
Mr. Klops had a few moments to reflect while he puttered about fetching candles and the like. He realized that if we knew the true nature of the attack on the prince, he was sure to be the obvious suspect.
Of course. He's the
So,
biggest one with the
he
biggest
acquired
muscles.
a knife and returned to the scene in a clumsy attempt to disguise the time and method of the prince's death.
Before we get any further, I really must say that I am shocked and appalled that anyone on my friend Titanico's staff could behave in so dastardly a manner.
Oh my goodness. Dastardly.
Right.
However, if what you say is true, Miss Fortune,
That
then
sounded
leaves
weird.
one
Like she knows
question
something,
of
right?
Supreme importance. Where now is the knife?
Orangey's got a point. If Klops here did the stabbing only seconds before finding the body, then he must have had it on him during the commotion of rounding us all up.
All comes back to that knife.
The one-eyed brute must have had it on him when he came running out of the hall. Solve this one, and it's sure to be the final blindside that I need. Very well, then. I will enlighten you all one last time. You see, the knife...
I don't know. There's one hidden on the bed and there's one planted on me, but technically they're both in my bag. Yeah, they're both in my bag. But we said we were going to put it back, just in case. So I'm going to go hidden in the bed.
Specifically, under the pillow in the queen bedroom.
Ah, darling, I was wondering when you were going to get to that.
You mean you knew too?
Oh yes, I was there when Miss Fortune found it. And there certainly is a knife there. Except, darling, and I do hope you won't be too terribly cross with me, there's one little flaw in your theory.
Oh, really? And what might that be?
Well, it's just that except for the times when we've all been together, I've been in that room the entire time since we found the prince. And of all of us, Mr. Klops has got to be the one person who never set foot in it.
I knew it. This whole thing was a setup. I bet she even planted that knife in the bedroom. Did you know she wouldn't even tell me if Miss Fortune was a real name earlier? Who knows what else the dame's been lying about?
Miss Fortune, I must say that you've seemed awfully desperate to convince us of Klops' guilt. Awfully desperate indeed.
So maybe I should have said something about it being planted on me.
What? Rubbish. Nonsense. I just want to do my civic duty and make things as quick and straightforward as possible for our busy, hard-working law enforcement officers.
Oh, that sounded horrible.
Civic duty? You? Okay, now I know you're full of it.
Well, since you're inclined to be so helpful, Miss Fortune, perhaps you would submit to a quick search of your person? Of course, we should all do the same. I'll even go first if you like.
No, I vote her first. Might save us all some trouble.
I think that's a good idea. Any objections, ma'am?
Should have just went ahead and said it was planted on me. That way there would be less suspicion, right?
I suppose not. I mean, I have nothing to hide. Well, not much at least.
Allow me then, darling. I do have gloves on just in case, and I promise I'll be gentle. Hang on. What's this? Oh my lord! There's a knife in her purse! And it's got blood on it!
Both times she is the one who searched me.
A knife? My dear Countess, get back.
The knife was in her room.
Make sure she doesn't try anything.
Unhand me, you ill-dressed oaf! I swear, that knife isn't mine. I have no idea how it got there.
The blade. It's the same as the wound on the prince. Miss Fortune.
Hey, there's something else in her bag. A diamond ring. Wait, this belonged to the boss.
Let me see. Oh my. Klops
Oh,
is
now we're gonna go
right.
back to the ring,
This
huh?
ring. It was on the prince when he died. Misfortune, you dastardly fiend.
Huh.
Are you even listening to me, you orange juice guzzling clown? I don't know how those things got in my purse.
Under the circumstances, I think we're going to have to leave it to the police to decide that.
Hmm.
Yes, Klops. Don't let her out of your sight for an instant. A villainous villain will face justice
The
for what
villainous
she did to
villain.
my friend.
I hear the sirens now. I'll go let them in. Can't say I'll be terribly upset to have them take her away from here. Goodbye, Misfortune.
Alright.
Tisk
So,
tisk, darling. Petty robbery. Must be hard times, I suppose. Normally, you're smart enough to marry them first.
she's starting to make me suspicious now. I don't know how she possibly could have done it.
Good.
Alright,
Yes,
I'm fast forwarding
sir.
through all this stuff
There is
because
no juice
these are
in
long
my-
conversations to have to get through. I want to see whether or not the change would happen if I already informed them that it had been planted on me.
Clean
Oh, that there was another knife in the other room.
is this one, right here.
Ah, you have it. Everyone, stay back. She's armed and very likely dangerous.
Oh, don't be absurd. I'm not threatening you. I found this in my bag a little earlier. I must admit, I was quite confused as to how it got there myself. Until now.
What do you mean?
Interesting.
Oh, my dear. You're still young. Your memory is good enough for this, I'm sure. Think back to the moment that we all saw the body.
Leah, the Comtessa, Horatio, and I all came in through one side of the hall.
And Misfortune and Klops came through the other. Oh my! You mean...
I was in the room alone with the killer?
At the one moment when we were all sure to be fixated on something else, namely, the ghastly sight of the body itself, Mr. Klops planted the damning evidence on the only person he happened to be close enough to. Yours truly. Isn't that right, Mr. Klops?
Don't tell me that's true,
Ah,
Cyclops.
No way! This whole thing is a setup.
Oh, yes. That's what you intended it to be. But you picked the wrong person to set up. Luck has gotten the better of you.
My word, I hear sirens. The police are here, and not a moment too soon.
Klops, I am very, very disappointed in you. I shall make certain that your pay from my late friend's estate is suspended with all possible haste.
All right. That'll really show him.
Yeah, in jail with no pay.
Good for nothing, pointy-hatted phony. You're the worst of them all.
Klops, that is quite enough. Surely you're going to cooperate with the police, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll see that.
Fine. I know better than that. But you haven't heard the end of this.
I would certainly hope not.
Mr. Klops, if you are innocent, I'm sure the police will find that out.
Hmm.
Goodness, I'm glad that's over. But at the same time, I can't help but feel a little disappointed, don't you think, darling?
Starting to think she has something to do with it.
After everything that's happened tonight, don't you find it a little bit of a letdown that in the end the solution was
The butler did it. Well, he wasn't the butler.
Oh yes, of course.
Oh my. That was cheesy. Oh, of course. I'm just kind of curious about...
I should have been relieved that it was all over myself, but the way Klops had resentfully stomped off, I couldn't suppress a slight flutter of worry. He was a man who held grudges, to be sure. Was it possible he'd find a way to escape and come for me next? Was there even a chance he hadn't actually done the whole thing? But those were questions for another day. The important thing for now was that I was off the hook. One really must look on the bright side of things from time to time, after all.
Yeah. Bitter butler. Alright. The vengeful valet. Huh. Alright, so like I said, there are a few different endings on here. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 more endings that can be done on here. So I'll see you next time. You have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, and a wonderful 5 o'clock somewhere. Bye!